Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk. I'm Lisa Richmond, and I'm joined with my very best besties, other medium and channelers, Elyse and Ginette. We're from Avalon Spirit, and we meet every Friday to talk everything spirit and whatever's coming up. And this week is a big week because we are in the middle, literally in the middle of full moon vibes. And with anything moon related, it's juicy for me. I love it. I love to get into it. But this week is a whole nother level, because what's tied in with the full moon is a bunch of energies. And if you haven't felt it, you might be the only one that I have talked to or any of us have talked to that hasn't felt it this week. It has been a week. So we're here to talk about all the energy that is surrounding this full moon and how you are not alone and you're not crazy and you are not going backwards in your ascension, because you're being faced with a whole lot of old energy. So welcome. That's quite the intro. How are you doing? How was the week, ladies?
That was a really good intro.
Thanks.
An intro? And it was an intro, not an intro. Intro. So Kay, I love how you brought up the whole lot of stuff this week too, because not only do we have the full moon energy, and it's a full moon in Virgo, which is heavy emphasis on relationships too, but also new paths, new beginning. As well, we have had so many intense solar flares, and we had an X class, I think one of the biggest X classes ever, like X class solar flares ever recorded yesterday. And there had been several in the last 10 days. So it's been like boom, boom, light consciousness, boom, boom, all to like light up, illuminate stuff for us to see, along with a full moon that further illuminates stuff for us to see right after the 222 portal of the 22nd, February 22nd, second month, 22nd day, which was all about the final, like, actual splitting of timelines, or not timelines, more like parallel realities between 3D and 5D, this massive split that's happening, all being illuminated. And so, like you're saying, Lisa, within that illumination is anything that is old is being illuminated for you to see and choose. Like in the very simplest form, it's like, here it is. What do you want to do about it? That's the simplest form. And then we add in our emotions and our histories with it, and our fears and our worries, and, you know, all of our stories into choosing what that is, as we're now actually in those newer parallel realities. Like the way, just quickly to explain, the way Spirit explained it to me a few days before the 22nd was, picture like a tree branch, right? So you have like a tree, and then one branch is going this way and the other one is going this way. So there's a point in which they split up. And so we are moving now officially into that secondary tree branch, which is why there's still this releasing that needs to happen of everything that was kind of jumbled around in that singular part before it split into two. We're like sloughing off the old stuff of like, no, I don't want that one. Yes, I do want this one. So when you say it has been a lot, it really is, and it's coming from all angles, because we're getting it from the moon and we're also getting it from the sun. And anytime you bring the sun and the moon in a pairing, that is divine union, which I talked about on Cosmic Consciousness this week too. Divine union is massive. So we're seeing a solar system level representation of divine union to help us recognize that within. And oh my goodness. Mic drop right there. There's a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah. How about you, Elyse? How's your week been?
My week has been, I mean, all of those things. For me too, I've really noticed, and there's a couple, like, you know, human aspects to it, but also, you know, energy tied into it for sure, of just like my life force feels gone. Like I just feel like I'm slugging myself through this week. And it's funny, I went to get blood work yesterday, and like it was a whole thing. It was like, this girl's like, this never happens, I don't understand what's happening, because like she couldn't draw the blood, and then my arm like ejected it, and then she's like, your vein has shut down, like it's not letting. It was just this whole thing. And then we were talking, and I'm like, it's a weird week. And she's like, I swear every person that I have talked to doesn't know what day it is, doesn't know what they're doing, is confused, is exhausted, or feels like they've like had 75 cups of coffee. Like everybody just feels really disoriented, and like that polarity of like, either I'm completely bagged and just like, huh, or and I don't know where I am or what I'm doing, or like I'll walk into a room and be like, why did I okay, anyways, moving on, don't remember what I was doing, like just really lost, or really like over amplified and over
Buzzy.
energetic.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just like vibrating like "Ugh." And so I mean, I've kind of noticed both. I've definitely been swinging more to the like really bagged experience, but you know, to the point that both of you made as well, noticing things coming up that are so random that I would have never been like, this is something for me to sit and reflect on. Like, not something that I ever thought, oh, this, you know, lives in my consciousness as something that I'll, you know, one day want to work through or be aware of. Like the most random stuff
Surprise!
that it's like, oh, hello, let's talk about this. And it's not bad and it's been fine, but at the same time just really caught off guard by some
Yeah.
of the themes that have come up, because they felt either completed, they felt like not significant enough to even need to be looked at. Yeah, so it's been kind of random, I feel like, as
That's
well.
so interesting that you say that, because that was like a huge theme my guides brought forward for me yesterday, was that because I always connect into the energy of the moon, and I'm not like technically in the astrology aspect of it, because it's a lot of like the technical part. Mine is just like the moon speaks to me and like I communicate with her, right? And I have for a while. So anyway, what I understood from the energy of what is illuminating through this moon energy, but then again yesterday I'm like, is there solar flares? Like I didn't know. I'm like, I feel like there's solar flares, and then it's like
the most massive.
the biggest recorded ever, and I was like, oh yeah, there is. So this makes sense. But anyway, what my guides were saying was, okay, I want to be able to communicate this with words to the best of my ability, because when I get the download, it's an energy. You guys know this. Okay. What is happening right now during this great split is that we are being confronted with old energetic frequencies that we either held from lifetimes ago or that we contracted to come in order to clear. But before or during this great split, this great cosmic shift. And so whether we agree to do it on a collective level or an individual level, we are bringing these agreements or karmic natures up to the forefront. This is illuminating this energy right now because it is so powerful, so incredibly powerful. And so we are being confronted, or things are being brought forward to us in order for us to be able to work through it over and over and over again until we can fully transmute, heal, and release the energetic frequency that is being held within our, I want to say, cosmic genetic code. Now, what that is like we have the DNA from our human selves, but how they showed it is like as a soul, we've come in with like a almost crystalline energy that is parallel to our human DNA. And we are upgrading into that higher vibration. So if we've brought in old karmic stuff from other lifetimes and opportunities from this lifetime in order to clear from our existence, to raise our vibration, it is happening now. It will continue, but the most intense that we've felt it probably in our lifetime could be right now. And that is why, if we are being triggered over and over again in different ways, that is because that is our opportunity of healing. That is our opportunity to take this and transmute it into healing so that we can ascend and be able to move swiftly into this higher vibration. And so if the boss comes in and has this like So these are kind of the examples. A boss comes in holding this like kind of shadow masculine energy that keeps being reflected back to us, kind of resisting our energy. And then for us to notice how we're responding. Are we responding in a way that is emotionally charged, like triggered, as this like kind of back and forth? They're really, my guides are like, step back, observe, and try again from a place of wholeness and authenticity, which is essentially love and understanding. And if you continue to respond in this triggered reaction, then there is an aspect of self that still needs healing. So who's responding? Is it you, which chances are not? It's like your 14-year-old self who hasn't felt validated or heard, or it's your 7-year-old self who got shut away and didn't, whatever it might be. And what they're helping, what this illuminating energy is helping you to see, what aspect of self, this life or past, needs that healing, so that you can kind of like karmically wrap up that lesson and ascend your energy, your frequency, where you resonate into that higher vibration to set forward into this 5th dimensional frequency. If you're watching this, this is you, because you are being led into the 5th dimensional frequency. That is why you're tuning in to this type of energy. And so this message is for you. And so you can look at what is being presented to you over and over in different ways. And remember, it is not the trigger. It's not the person triggering, the situation triggering. Yet that is the opportunity for you to see. So yeah, you can feel mad at the person, but remember, they're just playing their part so that you can bring yourself forward for the healing necessary in order to transmute it and work forward. Your guides are working full-time with you right now to help you do this. And this is very prevalent right now. And that is your message.
And
That is a big one.
You know what, though,
next
I
week.
have to say, yeah, and show over.
Sorry, guys, that my guys were working through me for that so that I could explain it
great.
properly.
That is your message.
That is it.
Though. And I want to say too, like, to validate what you're saying is, I just recorded the March energy update on my podcast, which is going to be going out on Monday. And one of the points that Spirit brought through for March was to respond consciously to your reality. They're like, think about your responses to the reality you're seeing. And the way that they explained that too, in connection to what you're saying, is we are doing this timeline split, like, or not, I have to pick my words better because that's what I'm going to explain. It's a reality split. That's what it is. It's a parallel reality split. And within that, when I talk about that parallel reality, I'm talking about the collective reality of people on this planet. There's a very 3D branch and a very 5D branch. So a limited way of thinking or old narrative of thinking, and then a new narrative of like what is possible, what is known, right? And within those realities, we have our own individual timelines. Many different parallel timelines. We can move and flow and like flow in between at any point. And our timelines can help dictate where we're going, but we need to respond to the reality we're in to choose what we want. Excuse me, because that dictates which timeline we individually choose for us in that reality. So it's interesting that like your guides were like, boom, huge message. And I got that as well at the same time. And we haven't talked about it because you guys haven't heard anything about the March
I have not
yet. So I think that's really neat. And I want to echo too what you're saying, Lisa, that like whatever's coming up, especially under the energy of this moon, which like Friday and Saturday, it is the most intense because I think the moon peaks at like
3:30
in the morning Pacific time. So like, anyways, now and tomorrow, right? Really intensely. The moon is asking you to be really observant of what you see and really choose what you want, like clarity, like illumination. And I know we can apply that to many moons, but this one is such a change maker because of these two realities and where they're shifting, because of the energy of momentum and kickoff that we're in. if you become, Spirit said this to me yesterday too. They're like, be an observer the next few days. Observe your reality. What do you like? What do you notice? Like as if you would observe something else of somebody's. Maybe someone was like, here, can you watch this play of mine and critique it? What works, what doesn't? Spirit is saying, do that of your reality. And because what you choose, you will shift in your individual timeline, which refines your movement forward. And so in that choosing,
Oh, I love that. It kind
yeah,
of gives the power back to you, right?
it
It's like
does.
your
It does.
sovereignty is really here. Like,
But in that, like you said, we have to sometimes be shown old things either as a reference point or maybe something else that we choose to heal on a deeper level,
yep.
or maybe to reinforce a decision we've made. Like, yeah, no, definitely I'm feeling aligned with that. Let's carry on forward. So it's kind of like, don't be hyper reactive to what comes up, but rather be observant. And then
Totally.
what is this? What is that? Instead of like, oh, not again, or here we go, or why am I
Right.
blocked? Like,
But
we
if
want,
you do have that big reaction, then there's still something there, right? There's still
yeah.
that aspect of self that needs to be like, it's like, whoa, that was a big response. Who is that? Like observing it from your authentic self.
Mhm.
Oh, that was so and so aspect of self that was hurt.
Yeah.
You know, like there's still a healing to be done within the reactions.
Mhm.
So like the last thing you need to do is like judge the reactions if they still come up.
Mhm.
You can say, this is not the reaction in which I choose. Like I want to be able to see it from this like whole self perspective. But I'll tell you, that situation wouldn't arise for it to elicit that response if that aspect of self still needed healing
Mhm.
in order to move forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Totally.
Because every once in a while. And another thing they said is like, we're also holding some of these memories in our physical body. So sometimes the illuminating aspect of self is like, okay, we've worked through this, we've talked through this, and it's like we've talked through it, and we've talked through it, and we've talked through it. But what is actually holding on to the hurt is in our physical body. And so I gotta be careful with my words here too, is that if sometimes some healing can be done by actually going back to the hurt and not reliving the hurt, but like giving voice to self in validating what transpired during that pain, right?
Mhm. Oh my God, Elyse, that's what you do 100% in your somatics.
That's what I mean. Somatic work
Like,
is so huge right now. How many people are seeking out somatic work? Like that is one of the best ways. They go see Elyse.
I know, honestly, like I have learned so much about how to be more who I want to be through learning somatic practices you've taught me. Like I think everyone should learn that at some point. Like
I
it
do
should be a
too.
core value in high school or even earlier, right? Like a practice, and they could name it something else if they don't want somatics. But honestly, it is a fundamental knowledge of being human
Yeah.
and how
Well,
to
and
discern.
I think it's inherent. We just unteach ourselves, right? It's the idea of like, you know, as children, well, you're okay. It's okay. You're fine. It's good. You're okay. And we're taught turn away from the thing that's coming up rather than feel it. Look what, and you know, you hear a lot, oh, an emotion only lasts 90 seconds or, you know, whatever. Oh, that's like spoken about in the wellness world a lot. And it's like, well, yeah, if we're not like thinking about it and then our brain is adding to it and then we're thinking about it more and then it feels more intense and people are like, that's not true. And it's like, well, yeah, because we're in our brain about it. It's like adding fuel to the fire of the thing
Definitely.
that you're
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
One of the things that was coming up, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, bring the sad feels in. Not sad, that's the wrong word. But one thing that was coming up as you both were talking, that they were speaking about was some of these things, whether it's memories, whether it's things that we're reflecting on, whether it's we're triggered by something, especially if it's like, well, I thought I worked through that. Like I thought I did the somatic stuff and I talked to my coach or my therapist and I did my shadow work and I did Reiki, whatever, all of the things that we can do to support moving things up and out. But I did all of that. And if it is feeling complete or not, it's not that there's undone hurt. They're talking about grief and mourning of old self as a part of that. And I think we sometimes don't look back at past aspects of our life and realize that like our life has changed a lot. Maybe we look around and we're like, wow, like we were talking about like going out in your youth and like going to the bar and dancing and having girls' nights and all these things. And at one point, like for me, like I don't drink anymore. I don't really go out to bars really at all. Like at one point in my life, I had my last like girls' night out at the bar where I was drinking and dancing and like carefree and la la la. And, we can look back at those things with rose-colored glasses as well, because I feel like the last time I did that, it wasn't la 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 lovely.
Yeah.
But, being able to look back, especially as we're seeing these kind of differing realities and being like, wow, that was a totally different person. That was a totally different time in my life. And that can be really beautiful. And we can look at how much we've evolved and grown. And maybe you look around now and you're like, oh, my life feels so much more aligned to me. My relationships feel more aligned. My work, I'm purpose-led, whatever it is. And we can still feel like we need to mourn or process a little bit of grief around that person, because a lot has happened in the last handful of years and is continuing to happen, both like collectively, individually. And I think it's easy to just like keep moving forward. And people are like, you shouldn't look back. You shouldn't look back. But I feel that there's reverence in that. And there's beauty in being able to look back at the old aspects of self, the old experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, and maybe mourn it or grieve it or love it or just like witness it, because we tend to not, especially when it feels like we're going a million miles an hour, pause and witness like, holy shit, everything's changing right now. And like, that's intense. And that can have feelings associated with it that live in our bodies. Like you were saying, Lisa, like there's so many layers to it. And I know for me, like I was saying, it's random stuff that I'm like, I don't feel like I have a hurt that's unprocessed here. But then as you were both talking, it was like, maybe it's not the actual emotion from that time. Maybe it is, because certainly that can be very true. Maybe it's also like, wow, my life has changed so much. And I would have never painted my life out the way I have it now. And I'm very grateful for it. And it's in alignment and there's so much beauty in it. But there's also challenges and there's also things that have changed that maybe I didn't plan for, or maybe I never saw in my future that are the way they are now. And it's this like energy of like just looking back at that journey, but also like the different versions of self along the way and witnessing them, because I feel like I said, it's so easy to just move forward and then keep moving in that one forward trajectory and miss out on all of the different aspects of what can come through mourning and grief and just even witnessing, even if it doesn't have to feel sad. Grief is not inherently sad, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's
I
like
like
a loss with it.
I like that you brought up the witnessing. That's actually a light bulb moment for me, because there's been a couple things that have like come up again and I'm like, why is this kind of coming up? Like, what am I feeling about it? And I was kind of like, I don't even know what I'm feeling about it because it's not relevant anymore and this and that. But the witnessing, like, I think you're so bang on about that. And even that being illuminated under the energy of this moon, it's like witnessing moments of, turning points in your life or final chapters or new beginning points that maybe you didn't realize at the time were a new beginning. And then you're brought back to that memory to like witness the shaky legs of that new beginning moment again. And so it's really neat and timely that you're bringing that up, for me personally anyway.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes about grief is just love, or grief is love with no place to go. And so when I think of like looking back at old aspects of self, it's like, can I send that aspect of my life love and bring forward some of the lessons and maybe let go of some of the hurts or like whatever it is, because it's going to be so different for each of us. But it's like a love-based process that sometimes can feel sad, but it can also sometimes feel really expansive and beautiful. and witnessing that in and of itself, I think is a really missed opportunity sometimes.
That's so interesting. And I think it's such a great opportunity now in consciousness to bring that into the energy of the moon, is like what in your life needs witnessing in whichever way, and be curious about it and like give it the space to be seen, because it's really going to help you forge your path in the new reality. I always want to say timeline, but in the new reality, the new branch of reality. I really feel that. And I also really want to pull a card for some reason for all of us, like everyone watching too. So let's see. Oh, look at that jumper. One sec, I'm gonna pull one more. That makes so much sense to me. Oh, so what is that? Okay. The jumper was the 8 of Cups. So like this is totally stepping into that new branch, walking towards the new branch of reality and leaving other things behind, but like doing so in a way of consciousness. And like this person's not running, like she's walking. She is let down everything else. She's not carrying baggage in moving into that new light. She's moving forward. And then I love that I got this card, 3 of Cups, which always really represents kind of us and union and harmony and coming together and soul tribe, soul family, all that kind of stuff. So I think there's some really neat things to be illuminated for everybody in this moon energy. I love it.
Love it. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope that there was a tidbit or message in here that resonated with you. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if there's anybody that you know that might really benefit from the message or messages today, please share this and help spread the love and light from us to you. So peace. We'll see you next week.